All right, let's get into this. So on to headline number one. EU and US begin quiet peace talks with Ukraine as Russia war continues. This is a New York Post article, and in this article it states that the US and European government officials have started quiet talks with Ukrainian leaders about the possible measures to end the war with Russia. The discussions came as Ukraine reported 14 civilians wounded in Russian attacks. And Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Union's executive branch, arrived in Kiev Saturday for talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about joining the European Union. Yuri Malashko, Yuri Malashko, the governor of the southeastern Zaporizhia province Zaporizhia province, said that 9 people were wounded in a Russian rocket strike on the village of Zakharin as 26 cities came under heavy fire over the last day. So, Jonathan, what are your thoughts on this entire situation? And yeah, let's hear it.
All right. Yeah, wow. So I mean, what we're actually seeing today is we're seeing a war that should have ended a year and a half ago coming to a close now. What's happened is the United States has lost the interest, and the European Union, they've lost the interest in funding this war. And I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe you point to Israel, Palestine. They've, maybe Ukraine was the side piece. Now they got to go deal with their wife. I get it. I get it. I understand. You know what I mean?
Priorities.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So what you're seeing in the media, you're getting a bit of mixed signal. So I'll kind of run through that. What you're seeing is Zelensky still wants to fight this war. And there may be a couple reasons for that. First of all, the guy's an entertainer. And I don't mean anything rude by this. I'm being honest.
He is though. I swear he's an actor. Right?
He's a comedian, and he's in the spotlight, and everyone in the whole world knows who this guy is. So that's a hard thing to come off of that pedestal, regardless of why you're there. And look, I don't think that's the only reason. I think that's a small reason, right? But you've got his own generals right now. It was in a Times article. His own generals are not listening to him anymore. They don't want to keep sending kids into the meat grinder because it's not working. This war of attrition is not going to be effective for Ukraine. They don't have the troops. And we all know, the red line on this to World War III is throwing ground troops into Ukraine. So that's not an option. It never was. It never has been. A proxy war is okay, except as soon as you throw troops in, that's the real issue. So Zelensky wants to keep fighting this war. So he's continuing to ask for more money and more support. But his own generals are saying, hey, look, we're at a stalemate. Unless we have substantial increase in munitions and aerial support, we're not going anywhere. That's exactly where we're at. So then what the thing is, the states did this interesting thing where they just spun the media. This is how they like to operate. So instead of saying, hey, our bad, this is a war of attrition, we're not going to keep fighting this, they go, well, it's the humane thing to do because Ukraine's running out of troops. That's what they said. So that's in the media. And while that is partially true, this never should have gotten to this point. So now they're like, well, the humane thing to do is to broker peace. But again, the reality of all of this is this should have been done a year and a half ago because here's exactly what's going to happen. Putin's going to get what he wants. He's going to maintain his annexation of Crimea. He's going to take the Donetsk and Luhansk, the northeastern region of Ukraine, and he'll do it through referendum. That's exactly what he's getting. That's what he wants, and it's exactly what he's going to get. That's how this is going to come. This is going to come to an end. That's what's going to happen. And this all could have been done without the expense of hundreds of billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of lives. So what's depressing for me is the media takes this small kind of spin over here, and they're being humane now in these peace talks, because this apparently isn't up to Ukraine and Russia, it's up to the US. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, everything we did was necessary to get to this point. If we didn't do this, well then, Putin would have invaded Poland, he would have done all these other things, which is ludicrous. Because if anything, they're on their heels right now. Why wouldn't he invade them now? In fact, why wouldn't China invade Taiwan now? Because now that the US and the EU are saying, we don't have enough to fight this war anymore, now would be the opportunity. Now they're weak. So what's happened is the United States and the European Union and whoever else continue to fuel, fund, and fight this war. I'm not exactly sure why, but now that they've got a conflict over in Israel, they're ready to drop it and let it go. So instead of just saying, hey, our bad, we wasted thousands and thousands of lives and all this money, it's the humane thing to do now. We're going to go over there and broker peace, and it's a good thing we fought that war. You never know what could have happened. Yeah, I know exactly what would have happened. Exactly what is going to happen. That's the outcome. It's going to be the exact fucking same. So now they're going to go over and they're going to fight this war in Israel and Palestine, and what's a shame is because of this media spin, all those pro-Ukraine, pro-war people, and look, I don't mean pro-Ukraine, I don't mean it like that, I mean pro-war in Ukraine is what I'm trying to say. They're all going to say, we did the right thing because the media said we did the right thing, and if we didn't, we would have been looking at the next Hitler with Putin. There's no chance. He doesn't have the resources, first of all, and second of all, the rest of the Eastern world did not want to get into a world war. So this was kind of a dead end to begin with, and it's really a shame that, once again, the war machine is going to get away with it just to turn around and go fight a war somewhere else.
Yeah, it's sad, man. And it seems like the war machine got what it wanted. They needed something to stay profitable. You know, the entire military industrial complex just, they really, you know, are just constantly wreaking havoc. Like it is what it is. You know, a lot of them are just war hungry, and unfortunately human lives are being lost as a result of this. But it's funny that you mentioned that this entire situation kind of led up to this was something that was pretty much well predicted like a year in advance. And I thought that wasn't Crimea, wasn't that region already technically very pro-Russian before the war even started?
They were annexed after the Euromaidan insurrection in 2014. So the United States under Obama instigated a coup in Ukraine because they had the Ukrainian president, Poroshenko? I may be wrong. Anyway, the Ukrainian president at the time was pro-Russia, and he didn't want to sign an agreement with the European Union. So they went in and they started a coup, and it's documented now that this is the United States that started this.
Yeah, isn't this what a lot of what led to, you know, Putin even making that statement? I think it was in 2014, 2015, where he kind of predicted his own actions. Is that the when those situations were kind of aligned?
Yeah, I mean, so because the United States got into Ukraine and pushed this coup and pushed for a Western-friendly government, which is what they got, at the same time, in very little time, I think it was a month or 6 weeks, Putin moved into Crimea, which is it's an important region for shipping, distribution, and resources. So that's why he wanted Crimea. Thing is, he annexed it and he did a referendum. Now, I don't know how accurate his referendum votes are. Obviously, anything like that, you don't really know. But the numbers were in the 90s. 90% of people voted to be a part of Russia. Again, it could be totally fabricated. We know how people like to fuck around with elections in the world, so it's hard to say. But why I'm saying that is, it was Russian-controlled region, and the people there seemed to be at peace with it. Not that it was okay, right or wrong, but I'm talking about the people living in a place where there is still some peace there. You know, and I know they were kicking back and forth with Ukraine. I know that was ongoing. But anyway, yeah, that's when he took it in 2014. So this has been going on for a while, and it was going on before that, you know, ever since the fall of the Soviet Union. But the reality is, I was a little blind on this early on in the war. He was Putin's actions were wrong. You don't go and start a war. You don't go invade another country. Clear as day. Got it. Yeah. But if you look at what NATO did to continually add new countries to their NATO alliance that bordered Russia, which is what they said they specifically were not going to do, right? Yeah. So the last standing neutral country was Ukraine. And then what they did in 2014 was they instigated a coup. So now, if you're Putin, you're kind of going, well, the last country there. This is kind of like, I have to make a stand or push back because this is the last country that's on my border.
Force a dog into a corner.
That's exactly what it is, right? And again, I'm not justifying it. I'm saying this is why, right? And then he goes, okay, you know, and then Trump, because Trump didn't want to be a Russian asset, he moved all these weapons into Ukraine. All the weapons that went in there were not Obama. Those were from Trump.
So Trump has a bigger role to play in this than a lot of people give credit to. Yeah, he does.
If you look into it, see, that was his role in this. Is he's the one that armed them to begin with. So, and then Biden was the guy that was a part of the Obama campaign that was in charge of foreign relations with Ukraine as the VP. So you're looking at this whole thing, you're like, yes, this was 10 years in the making, and yes, a lot of this had to do with the United States.
Wow, yeah, it really goes to the point that a lot of people have. I've been seeing this a lot more, that United States, they're just they're very war hungry. Maybe not the people, the people itself,
it's their economy.
But the government. It's
their economy, right? So just recently, pharmaceuticals overtook military industrial complex in terms of largest economy in the States. Wow. I believe I don't know if it's the largest. I think it is, but I know that pharmaceuticals just took over military. So this is how this country stays alive. Right? They don't really do a lot of production and manufacturing of their own. They're starting to switch that over again right now. But what they do is they go start a war, they fund the war, they build weapons for the war, they take resources from other countries, and they continue to survive. That's how they've operated. It sounds pretty desolate, but that's the truth.
Oof. So they're switching from ground war to bio warfare now.
Bruv.
That's crazy.
Yo, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
If you like this video, make sure you check out this one right here. And if you want to watch the full podcast, make sure you check this out here.